Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that had this feeling that people were out to get them, that there was this verge of them being punished or confronted, and they didn't really like that feeling. And it came from a very rational place. They had experienced abuse in their childhood when they were in school. Their father was quite abusive verbally, but also physically. And because of that, there was this feeling of being attacked. And that was going way beyond, just the context that it was actually happening, which was their childhood. And alongside that, what had happened is they had a very defiant nature, because sometimes when people are oppressed or unfairly treated, they can either become weak or they can become strong. And defiance is quite a strong emotion. If you think about oppressed people in any part of the world, it gives a certain kind of stoic feeling of defiance, that they will overcome the odds and they will dig deep within. So defiance can be quite a resourceful state, but in this case, it was being used almost to punish themselves. So part of them was defiant, and a part of them was becoming the source of punishment and harsh criticism that they experienced. So they had very harsh inner dialogue. They would remind themselves of their mistakes. They would replay situations that were awkward, embarrassing, and that obviously was kind of draining them. So what you're going to hear in this session is a combination of different modalities. There's inner child work, which is what it starts with. That's really important because all of this came from experiences in their childhood. There's an element of parts integration therapy, so working with the conflicted parts to try and make them more harmonious and move towards something very positive. This particular client believed in heaven, and one of the people that I think is quite well known that represents a defiant archetype is a guy called David Goggins. And if you're familiar with David Goggins, he's a very extreme character. The title of his book is called Can't Hurt Me, which gives you an idea of that kind of defiant nature. And I could see parallels between David Goggins and the client that I was working with. And there's a very famous thing that David Goggins says in one of the Joe Rogan podcasts about how he was able to harness this defiant nature. And he talks about arriving in heaven and being shown all of these incredible accomplishments, and then figuring out that that's the version of him that he could have been. And he was able to harness this defiant nature to accomplish very difficult, challenging things. So he was able to harness it for a powerful, empowering way rather than just an aggressive way. Some defiant people just become belligerent and rude all the time. They seek conflict with other people, but it can be harnessed positively. So I take that and use it as a way of them framing that if they continue with this pathway that they're on, then they might feel drained, but they also might feel like all of this worry about conflict prevented them from actually doing what they actually wanted to do with their life. And that is, they had a deep feeling that they were going to be great and accomplish a lot. So it's really designed to do this. So part of it is a compelling vision for the future. Part of it is parts integration therapy and some inner child work as well. This will resonate most with people that feel life is treating them unfairly, that people are out to get them, people don't have confidence in them. And everyone at some level has this polarity response where if people doubt them, they've got this desire to prove them wrong. So it can be harnessed in a very good, powerful way. And that's what's going on in this session. And I want you to think about who doubts you, who wants to see you fail, because that way, by thinking about those people, that can harness this defiant nature in a really positive way for you too. Obviously, it was created for an individual circumstances. This client did experience physical abuse. That might not have been your past. So just ignore any suggestions that aren't relevant. Hone into any empowering suggestions that are. And if you do like the idea of a bespoke session working with me, have a little look in the show notes or check out my website, adamcox.co.uk, and you'll see a link where you can book a free consultation call and we can have a chat. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that feeling of calm relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow yourself to feel like you're drifting into a place of relaxation. Breathing in what feels useful, resourceful, and exhaling anything that feels like it's been draining you, anything that feels like it's stealing your energy. Just allow that thing to leave your body in your outward breath. Scan your body for any clues of not just tension, but sensations, pressures, and give permission to any sensations, tensions, stresses, or strains to melt away, to be released, to let go, and just allow it to leave your body in that outward breath, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper you breathe. And I wonder if you can use the power of your imagination to imagine an old photo album. You remember the ones, leather-bound, small photographs in plastic sleeves. Just imagine flicking through that photo album. And I want you to see yourself at a very young age, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, a time when life was kind. See yourself with no need to be defiant or tough. And if you can see a photo of yourself like that, just let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine going back, almost like you're stepping into a photo, seeing that younger version of you before there was too much injustice, cruelty, even abuse. I want you to imagine giving that younger version of you either some advice, insight, or perhaps a resource that would mean that any future injustice, punishment, could be harnessed in a powerful, positive way. They say the strongest trees have weathered the fiercest storms. I want you to get a sense that the gift you're giving that younger version of you is to harness things that you know will happen in a way that works for you, not against you. You don't have to know exactly what that is. It could just be an essence, an energy, a resource, a quality, and see that younger version of you taking that resource, jump out of the photo and flick through the photo album, and I want you to see a picture of you covered in bruises, perhaps alone in a room, and then jump into that photo at your current age with all of your experiences. I want you to see that younger version of you, and you know that they are in a particular emotional state. Maybe there is clues of anger, sadness, or defiance. You are the only one that can truly empathize, because this is your past. But this is past plus perspective. You are able to see that same moment different now because of everything that's followed. I want you to let that younger version of you know that what happened was not acceptable, fair, or okay. And that sometimes life is just like that, cruel and unfair. But sometimes the unfairness presents you with a gift. Much like a Trojan horse had something hidden inside. What if these harsh, unfair experiences also had something valuable hidden inside? I want you to tell that younger version of you that not everyone is out to get them. I want you to tell that younger version of you that pain is temporary and suffering is optional. That the only tragedy here would be if temporary pain and optional suffering is carried with them like a heavy weight on their back, continuing to drain energy long after these moments. I want you to get a sense that that younger version of you is realizing, what if they can take the useful stuff and leave the rest? Like the old pioneers panning for gold. They kept the nuggets of gold and all of that silt and stones pebbles and soil that got thrown away? What if you're able to take the nuggets of gold from your past and leave all the rest to be washed away in a stream? Breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to tell yourself the words that you wanted to hear back then. Positive, encouraging words. Not words that toughen you up. Not words that just are an echo chamber of the stuff they've heard from other people. But what you really needed to hear back then. Maybe that they are loved, worthy, destined for great things. That at some point, all of this will make sense. That will help rather than hinder. I want you to give that younger version of you a gift. The gift of extracting wisdom. Without this gift, this child would become an adult that just replays mistakes on a loop again and again. But all it takes to turn that into the gift of wisdom is to play different scenarios of how you would have wanted it to have been. You're giving this gift to a younger version of you, which means that you still possess that gift even now because you gave it to a version of you in your past. So let's try that out. Think of a recent mistake that you've been replaying. But this time, the mistake is only replayed once. And the next thought is how it could be done different. Either from a third-person perspective or a first-person perspective. All the different connotations, iterations. You can include different variables. Your emotions are different. Your decisions are different. You could even change the chronology. Sometimes the same things happening with a different sequence change everything. Sometimes the same word said with a different tonality change everything. And notice when you replay a mistake with constant connotations, you become like Goldilocks, testing 50 different bowls of porridge until you find the one that is exactly the right one. And when you find the right one, that becomes the one that you relive. So you're training your mind to get better and better in all areas of your life. That part that wanted high standards will now utilize this strategy to really give you high standards. High standards doesn't come from reminding someone of a mistake. It comes from learning from a mistake. And if that part that's been responsible for replaying these mistakes is now willing to evolve them, to learn from them, let me know by nodding your head. And when you think of future scenarios, it won't be people attacking you, criticizing you, going against you. I want you to see scenarios of collaboration, and harmony, of using communication and compromise, not conflict, to take things forward. Because if we can extract wisdom from the past and prime for collaboration rather than conflict, isn't it the case that you need less of that adrenaline in your blood? Because there is no opponent to fight. In fact, there is only one opponent. The future version of you that gets trapped in a cycle of shame and criticism and self-loathing. Find yourself back there looking in that photo album. But I want you to go right to the end of the photo album, seeing you, perhaps in your 80s, 90s or older, on your deathbed. See yourself just on the verge of dying, and you get a sense that that version of you could be many different people. In fact, infinite connotations of that version of you. But I want you to see that version of you at the very end of your life. And I want you to imagine accompanying that version of you that passes from this life into the afterlife. Accompany that version into heaven. And I want you to imagine God is showing you and them, all of the incredible impact, accomplishments, significant things that you've done, wonderful things. And I want you to get a sense that some of them don't feel real. And you can see that older version of you confused, asking God, what are all these things? And then God letting that older version of you know, this is the person you were meant to be, the person of you that you were supposed to be, and feel like you're extracting that wisdom now. Mistakes aren't getting things wrong. The only mistake is to live a life that you would regret. But if you either win or you learn, the only way to have a truly regretful life is to not even try to do these things that you would want to do. I want you to feel that, knowing what you now know, what if you get to go back to the present moment and make a change? To find harmony and alliances within yourself rather than conflict. For many years now, you've been fighting yourself, but you are not the enemy. I'm going to ask all of your unconscious parts if they are now willing to work in harmony, in collaboration, to steer your future self into a version of you that is filled with pride, accomplishment, purpose and fulfillment. And if these parts are willing to take all of this energy that's been used for internal squabbling and now deploy it to move your life forward, where your only enemy is avoiding the person that you don't want to be. So if all parts are willing to work in harmony towards that goal, being a version of you that you're proud of, let me know by nodding your head. And every now and then these parts will fall into old habits, and that's okay so long as you learn from them. Progress isn't a straight line. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This isn't a reason for inner criticism. It's a reason for reevaluation, regalvanizing. What if you, as the conscious mind, are a general of unconscious troops? Don't you need a mission, a vision to galvanize all of those unconscious parts to one grand mission? Have that eye on that prize, moving forward, perhaps with things that have to be challenging, stimulating, exciting. Too easy, these parts get bored. These parts that thrive on proving people wrong, going against the odds, they've been bored. They need something to challenge them and stimulate them. And since you're the general, only you decide what the mission is, and then manage those unconscious troops towards mission after mission that takes your life into a wonderful, positive new direction. And as you flick back through the pages, see some of those photos that haven't happened yet, showing moments of accomplishment, of pride, of harmony, the things that would make your life full of meaning, a wonderful sense of pride and accomplishment. There'll be clues in memories that haven't happened yet. And if you get a sense of things that would take you out of the comfort zone, where you get to deploy these resources that have been spent internally squabbling to now pursue something challenging but meaningful. If you have an idea of what these things could be, or maybe, just let me know by nodding your head. And remember, not enough challenges, these parts get bored and will start to squabble with themselves again. You're the general. Galvanize these unconscious troops towards big missions, big goals, big challenges that enrich your life and move you forward. And with that in mind, just imagine closing that photo album. But as you do, imagine walking around in your imagination feeling lighter, feeling like a big heavy bag that you've been carrying around for years that may even feel like emotional baggage or even a suit of armor designed to keep you safe isn't necessary anymore. So leave that bag or that suit of armor behind. You needed it then, you don't need it now. And in doing so, you will have more energy, better sleep. You will feel safe and comfortable and have the feeling that people want to help you. People like you. They want you to do well. And therefore you will project an evolved version of yourself that is wired for collaboration, not conflict. Time to return to the present moment, but taking these changes with you. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Start to connect and calibrate in the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.